You're listening to a Roddenberry Podcast.
Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. We'll have more news this evening, but first...
The latest Gene-ology, a Roddenberry Podcast.
Episode 82, the Mr. D.A. Replay, Part 1. Welcome to Mission Log Gene-ology. I'm Earl Green.
And I'm Ashley Thomas. Each week on Gene-ology, we examine a script or a show written by future Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry early in his career, and we dig deep to see if he was already sneaking in the morals, meanings, and messages that were so common in his later work.
And today we're rewinding all the way back to the beginning to revisit Mr. District Attorney, the first show to which Gene sold a script, kicking off his writing career over 70 years ago. Now, we've already talked about these shows from the script standpoint, but getting to see the shows themselves is a whole different experience.
And before we get to trivia on this week's episode, let me take a brief moment just to encourage you to join our Patreon or follow us on YouTube or leave a review wherever you're listening to us, please. And thank you. You can even do all of the above. Why not? It's a fun time.
Yeah, Patreon is your gateway to all things Mission Log, including exclusive access to the unedited version of our show, our private Discord where you can interact with us, your hosts, during scheduled live chats, which are also amazingly fun live chats, along with occasional screenings. You can access all this for just $1 a month, so head over to patreon.com/missionlog to see what tier works for you and join the conversation.
And if I may add, Earl, we have had some fire live chats lately on Gene-ology After Dark.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Gosh, so many rewritings of Gene's scripts.
We will have the revision of Stagecoach episode for you before you know it, Gene. It'll, trust us, we're going to make it much better.
We're here to help. But folks, by the way, reviews really do help our shows way more than you can possibly imagine. Even if you can't come up with the words for a written review, one of those 5-star ratings really does go a long way to tell the algorithm that you like us, you love us, you want some more of us, and that other people might like, love, and want more of us too. We are counting on our loyal genealogists to help spread the word. And now, this week's trivia. Earl, as the great philosopher Rihanna says, "Pon the replay."
Yeah, because we are going, we talked about Gene's early writing. We are going back to the earliest writing, because in this show and the next one, we are going back to where it all started, the first TV show for which Gene Roddenberry wrote scripts, the syndicated crime drama Mr. District Attorney. With only the scripts at our disposal, Norman and I covered these stories in detail in podcasts 1 through 6. But now Ashley and I are taking a look at the finished broadcast-ready shows that resulted from those scripts, again, courtesy of the Wisconsin Center for Film and Theater Research. They have all 6 of Gene's episodes of Mr. District Attorney in the vault. In fact, they have all the episodes of Mr. District Attorney in the vault. And the sound and picture are crystal clear on these. And you know what else? They're in color.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, that's the first really big surprise here. All of Mr. District Attorney Season 1 was apparently filmed in color. But this is not the only Ziv television show of this vintage to do that. Science Fiction Theater also filmed its first season in color. Fred Ziv was trying to future-proof because he knew color television was coming and he didn't want to get caught flat-footed with a bunch of black and white shows. Though there were some in the industry who saw no point trying to get ahead of that particular bus, there were various schools of thought. Color TV is a gimmick, a fad. It would never be affordable. Color should be reserved for the movies to keep movies and TV separate. So if you thought the tug of war over what separates movies from television is a thing of the streaming age, oh no, it's always been there. The color isn't terribly vibrant. It looks like kind of faded 2-strip Technicolor, but even if the 1954 audience saw this in black and white, the vaulted film is definitely in color. Now, why did Ziv go back to black and white filming after the first seasons of Mr. D.A. and Science Fiction Theater? Well, the answer to that is really simple. He got the processing bill from the film lab. Mm-hmm. The films have countdown leaders both before the main program and leading back into the show from the commercial breaks, so the film could presumably be queued up on a film chain at the TV station, because keep in mind, 1954, you are almost exactly 2 years before Ampex demonstrated the first commercial videotape deck. So this was all film. In TV at that time, it was film chains or it was live video coming from your own studio. Now, since we've already covered what's in the script, here we are focusing on the elements that were not necessarily in Gene's control. The acting, the directing, basically everyone who wasn't writing the script. Did they get these earliest specimens of Gene's vision across on film? Or not quite? We will try to answer that on an episode-by-episode basis. One other note, rather than hit you with the usual extensive recaps, which we already did back in the early days of the podcast, we brought in a talented special guest to write much shorter synopses to jog your memory. Now, I was thinking I was going to do that myself, but upon re-examining the script, I found that someone had beaten me to it. A guy named Gene Roddenberry. Hey, thanks, Gene. He'll be summarizing his own stories today. We'll just be the voices reading exactly what he wrote back in 1954.
Defense plant gambling. Cartwright Motors, a large manufacturer of motors, tools, etc., is suffering from an intense morale problem. When one of the employees is beaten up badly, the district attorney is called into the picture. He soon uncovers the fact that a gambling syndicate has practically taken over the place, and that somebody on the inside is in cahoots with the syndicate. Through several clever actions on the part of the DA, the plot is exposed and the malefactors are arrested.
Oh no, they're in cat boots with the syndicate.
I literally almost said cat boots. It is almost as Pavlovian a response now as mooing when seeing cows.
Yeah.
Can't see the word cahoots without thinking, oh, they're in cat boots.
So, Ashley, welcome to Mr. District Attorney. What are your first thoughts on this?
I mean, what a title. I mean, is it kind of like I am the nerdy blogger, but then my husband is Mr. Nerdy Blogger? Is there a Mrs. District Attorney or whatever, where this is where he gets his title?
And she's at home with all the little district attorneys.
Right. District Attorney Jr. and Little Miss District Attorney.
The opening titles of this show, I think it was everything that Norman and I dreamed it would be, complete with the oath of office basically being read with heavy reverb.
That was interesting. Something silly I noted, the theme tune for the song has a similar musical phrasing to, it's from the Disney film Sleeping Beauty. Health to the princess, wealth to the princess, long live the Princess Aurora. Hail Aurora. Ba, 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 ba. Anyway, like, I'm gonna stop now. Sleeping Beauty is my favorite Disney movie, but there's some musical phrase in the theme tune that is similar enough to that, to where that's all I can think about whenever the theme song is playing. That's so silly.
Yeah, it's like a more formal concert piece than Highway Patrol, which... Yeah, Highway Patrol, I mean, that's like 100%, that's a TV theme tune, but this was like, did they borrow this from something?
It's definitely got some prestige. I mean, because wasn't this a radio program first?
It was a radio show first, and I wonder if that was the same piece of music,
right?
Hanging around from that. It's entirely possible.
Right. We'll have to see if we can rustle up some old-time radio recordings of this.
So. It's probably easier to get than the TV show.
I mean, truly. It took me aback. I was like, oh, this is real serious music for this little half-hour TV show.
Yeah, and I love that opening claim at the beginning. Actual photography, filmed in authentic locations. That's a selling point. Every show kind of has that to some extent.
Right.
I mean, that tells you how new TV was in the United States.
Right.
Whoa, we actually photographed something with real actors.
I have to wonder, is some of this like, we're lending credence to the authenticity of our district attorney program because we are filming in real locations, like, the Hall of Justice or whatever.
So the script was written in 1953 and it was filmed and aired in 54.
Mm-hmm.
And watching it, I was kind of struck that maybe Gene's trying to sneak in something a bit daring here. Because the costuming and hair departments in this era were always going to make working class characters like Zerat or Macaulay kind of greasy-haired, boiler suit-wearing guys.
Mm-hmm.
These boys' necks are seldom, if ever, graced by a tie.
Right.
Yeah, maybe at their own funeral, but that's it.
Right.
Whereas Mr. Fields, the plant manager, is much more respectable, suit and glasses and all. And everything about how that actor was dressed, all of his style, is a cue to the audience. Oh, we have to respect this guy. He's the boss.
Right.
Except that he isn't.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, plot twist. He's already lost that power. And then by the end of the story, we find out, okay, this dude's actually pretty contemptible. So it seems like maybe Gene is flipping the class script a bit. I don't know if I really picked up on that in reading the script, but on the show itself, it almost seems kind of edgy. Like, okay, your guys who are not quite up to the bar of lower middle class, they might be all right, or they might be scum. But I think the real subversive thing here is not everyone in a suit is worthy of your respect.
Yeah, that was an interesting plot point that I didn't fully anticipate.
There were some interesting casting choices made in this show.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
I know just based on the name, back when Norman and I were talking about the script, we had no show to judge it by, so we had no idea who was in it. And by the way, I'm still not sure who was in it because even though we do have a cast list for this, there is no indication as to who anybody played.
Right.
The reason I'm not talking about the cast is because it would be pure guesswork on my part as to who was playing who. On IMDb, there is no cast information for this episode. Mm-hmm. And when I went and manually punched up each of the actors in the end credits, most of them had no photos. And in a couple of cases, there were actors who didn't even have an IMDb entry.
Hmm.
So you talk about a whole career lost to time.
Right.
We were speculating back when we were covering the script that, what kind of casting would Zerat be? Mm-hmm. Would he be an ethnic type? It sort of lent itself to uncomfortable questions about how he would be portrayed. He seemed like just greasy fat white guy here.
Yeah. Common garden variety, greasy white guy.
Yeah. Now, if you remember our coverage of the script, on paper, the script made Zerat out to be a muscle guy, like he works out and he is big and intimidating. And not too long ago, we didn't watch, but we talked about another script with a similar character type in it and found out from IMDb that character was played by Dan Blocker of Bonanza fame.
Right.
On Jefferson Drum. I was expecting someone similar here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this guy was not what I expected from reading this.
No. And even me just watching the episode, I was like, this is the guy who is a serial bigamist? Interesting choice. Okay. Is he going to all these towns where there's just slim pickings, or?
Look, I'm in no position to dock anyone's for.
And I think, and I don't want to like body shame anyone or anything. Just when you hear about a guy who's a serial bigamist and he's described in the script as like a big, buff, burly guy, this was not the image I had in mind.
Yeah, I was. I would have expected a Dan Blocker, burly but handsome kind of guy. This guy?
Mm-hmm.
This guy has a girl in every port? Are you kidding me? Because, look, Zerat is the same kind of body type I see when I look in the mirror. So he does not look like he should be intimidating Mr. Fields. He looks like he should be intimidating if you happen to be a double cheeseburger with fries.
And he's not even like a particularly tall fella either. Like,
no, Mr. Fields is taller than him.
I'm not a tall lady. Never have been.
I am not tall myself. That's what I'm saying. It's like I was expecting big and be muscled. This guy, it's like, oh wait, this would be like me getting cast in this role.
I have been told I can be intimidating because I am a bit on the loud side, and I'm somewhat opinionated. But I don't want to be. I don't think of myself as an intimidating figure because I would mostly just rather like hug you or something. He just, whoever this gentleman might have been, I'm curious, like, does he have like that kind of personality where even though, yeah, he's not a tall dude, he's not like a be-muscled dude, but does he present like, I ain't scared of you, and therefore he's going to be the intimidating dude in this, he's going to be the heavy in this episode.
Yeah, you do what I tell you, or I'm going to run over you in my food cart with a top speed of 5 miles per hour.
Right.
And when Mr. Fields visits Zerat at home, Zerat does not look menacing. He looks disheveled. Like that's the most disheveled we see him. It's like shirt half tucked in, but the other half not. And there were just so many choices here between casting and costuming. I'm not body shaming the actor, because like I said, I recognize the same body type. It's the guy I see in the mirror. It's just I wouldn't cast me in that role.
Right.
And so this is not what I was expecting to see. It's strange. That really defied my expectations in a big way.
Yeah.
Macaulay was actually a bigger man than Zerat, and we're making it out like Zerat beats him up, which, by the way, when Macaulay sneaks through the parking lot past all those gorgeous 1950s cars,
right,
gets in his car, gets in from the passenger side, slides over to the driver's seat, somehow has not seen that Zerat is waiting in the back seat.
Right.
Zerat grabs him by the hair, and Macaulay lets out like the unmanliest yelp possible.
It hit octaves that I don't think I can hit.
Yeah, I was thinking like, well, this is a waste of this guy. He's got a lovely singing voice, I'm sure. He could definitely hit the upper registers.
Yeah, let's give him a nice falsetto part, because these are the notes we are hitting right now with this scream.
If this was in wider circulation, I'm sure he would be in running to replace the Wilhelm scream.
Right.
Because you've got that same kind of octave slide in there. So it sounds like we're just crapping all over these actors, and that's not the intention. It's this was not what we were expecting.
No, and this is merely an observation of, not what I thought we were signing up for.
Yeah, that was all right, casting director. That was definitely a choice.
Yeah.
I was a little let down on an instinctive level.
Okay.
That Sergeant Riker is clean-shaven with no beard.
No beard. He's season 1, Riker. I mean, literally, we're in season.
Yeah, season 1, Sergeant Riker. But really, actually, what I think we're looking at is if your show was selling razors and blades in the commercial breaks, are you going to put a guy with a beard on the air?
Yeah, no, probably not. That's reasonable.
And with that in mind, I went back and watched it a second time and realized the only facial hair of any kind you see here is Mr. Fields with his little pencil-thin mustache that he has apparently earned by being the plant manager.
Right. You still are using plenty of razors and razor blades and stuff if you only got like a little pencil-thin mustache. So.
What did you think of Miss Thornberry?
She was kind of the surprise of the episode, and I actually really liked that. Learning that, she's in on this too, because she's the Mrs. Zerat, the 75th, apparently.
She's Mrs. Zerat for this zip code.
Right. That was kind of a pleasant surprise, because, I mean, one, if a woman has any part at all in any TV show or film at this time, like, she serves one function, and that it's like to be eye candy or to be rescued or something. She doesn't really get to play the villain. She's up to shenanigans, too.
I don't know if this was a directorial choice. She starts out with this big, every man in this zip code is beneath my contempt energy going on.
Yeah.
But then when we reveal that she is not the only Mrs. Rott, it seems like she softens up pretty quickly, like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. And I was just like, no, I'd be even madder. I wanted her to be even madder when she found that out.
Oh,
She
yeah.
wasn't.
Oh, yeah. No. If I am not the first Mrs. Nerdy Blogger, there will be hell to pay.
Yeah, I expected her to be breathing fire on that revelation. And instead, she just kind of shuts down and is, well, okay, director, that was a choice.
Yeah, that was a surprise for sure.
Yeah, lots of surprises here that seem to fall somewhere between casting and directing.
Yeah.
But that is... really all that I could come up with for defense plant gambling. It was not bad. It was just very surprising in some respects.
Yeah. It's amazing. If we're looking for like a moral meaning message, what happens when you allow corruption to take root in your organization? Whether you realize it or is happening or not. It's kind of a cautionary tale to be advised for that. And, especially during this time, like, oh, we're manufacturing stuff for the Air Force. This is important defense stuff. Well, if you're building stuff for defense and there's corruption within the organization that you're building for defense, well, that might eventually bleed over into your military, and that's bad.
Yeah, you're compromising the security of the entire country.
Yeah. So I thought it was interesting to see how Mr. Cartwright was all like, the heck's going on here? Why is this particular division underperforming?
Yeah.
Trying to get that figured out. But it's really shocking.
Yeah. Now, one performance note that did meet with my approval, because I thought it was carried off. It was carried off kind of subtly.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely got the point across when Macaulay shows up. I quit. I want my last check. And, Cartwright's right there. Mr. Fields is trying to push this guy out of the room before Cartwright can talk to him.
Right.
There is a good chance that would be the point at which he is exposed.
Right.
Very, very interesting episode. The message about corruption. Wow. Well, that doesn't have any implications for us in the here and now at all.
I say that is not at all relevant today.
Wife killer. District Attorney Paul Garrett is visited by a worried husband who tells him that his wife has made insane attempts on his life. Garrett arranges clinical treatment for the woman, but later becomes suspicious that either she or her husband is setting up the murder of the other. The killing is prevented at the last moment by fast-paced detective work. Now, all of a sudden, the opening titles are in black and white. I feel like the cost of having to splice that into every show were already piling up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think this was maybe Fred Zibb's first indication, this is not going to be in color for very long at all.
Mm-hmm.
When the cops first arrive at the Durant household, I thought it was very interesting that you have, the one cop ringing the doorbell, standing right in front of the door. The other guy takes up a position up against the wall on the other side of the door where Mr. Durant is not necessarily going to see him when he opens the door. Mm-hmm. This feels like a point of real police procedure that was the exact sort of thing that Gene was brought in to technical advise on.
Right.
In the first place. I thought that was kind of interesting. It's like, tactics happening here. That definitely feels like a thing that Gene would have brought in. That doesn't feel like something the director would have known.
Right.
This one gets really disturbing really quick.
Yes, it does.
For some of the same reasons that Stagecoach episode and Waveland were disturbing.
At least this one was not played for comedy.
Yeah, this one is played deadly serious, and I can at least, I can give it a lot more rope for that. I went back and watched it like 2 or 3 times because it just kind of had this sinking feeling in my gut. As soon as Garrett and his assistant DA leave after questioning, because obviously that's something the district attorney has time to do rather than setting the cops to do it.
Right.
Olga says, "Tom, you slapped me awfully hard," but she says it while she's rubbing her face. What is that? That is amazingly disturbing.
Yeah.
I want to praise these actors, Tom and Olga, within the confines of kind of the 50s acting style. They carried this show.
They were very believable. Of the 3 that we're going to talk about today, this is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, this one was the best cast episode out of the 3. And there were some scenes, like the one I just mentioned, where I was just like, Olga, get out of there, girl.
Mm-hmm. You in danger, girl.
Yeah, and yet there were others where, and this may be the director's choice, you're not sure what to make of her. Like, they're leaving you just enough reasonable doubt that, oh, she might be up to shenanigans.
Right.
And yet it's impossible to not sympathize with her. Mm-hmm. Because we established very quickly, oh, yeah, he's hauled off and slapped her.
Yeah.
The only acting note that I really found anything to fault here with either one of our 2 main guest stars is the way over the top scream when she gets zapped by the doorbell, by the doorknob.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit much, but I guess you've got to sell it.
Yeah. I think what made this one work for me, besides like we do have really, really good performances, is sadly it's still relevant.
Yeah.
Women are routinely abused and gaslit by their partners. This is a shining example of this is what gaslighting looks like.
Norm and I speculated that Gene may have watched the movie Gaslight before writing this.
Yeah.
Or may have seen it sometime before writing this, and it just filtered through into this script. We're not accusing him of plagiarism.
But there's certainly some influence at play.
Yeah, I definitely think there is. Mm-hmm. Since we figured out who our main characters are, I took a stab at figuring out who our main actors are. These people do have pictures on IMDb, so I do have some trivia for us.
Oh, fire away.
Jean Bates played Olga Durant. Now, she had a modeling career before she went into acting in the 1940s. And while her acting career began and ended on the big screen with movie roles in such things as Mulholland Drive and Eraserhead, so David Lynch regular here.
Okay.
She was also in Die Hard 2. These all being toward the end of her career. She did a lot of TV in between.
Mm.
And at this point in her career, she was a regular at Ziv Television because she appeared in 2 episodes each of Dr. Christian and I Led 3 Lives. Now, we have not run into her in any of the other stuff we've watched, but I thought it was interesting that some of these people get repeatedly cast in Ziv shows. And, I think that's acting all around. That's the business.
Sure.
You show up, you look the part, you know your lines, you're not a jerk to everyone around you. Yeah, they're probably going to have you back.
Right.
Now, Peter Adams was another Ziv regular. He played guest roles on Science Fiction Theater and Men into Space and I Led 3 Lives. He was a frequent guest star on television shows in the 50s and 60s. On the big screen, you might have spotted Peter in Funny Girl, Donovan's Brain, and the incredible Mr. Limpet, among many others. We lost Peter in 1987. We lost Gene in 2007. How old do you think they were?
Well, I'm actually looking at Gene's IMDb. She was born in 1918.
Yeah, they were both born in the 19-teens.
Yeah, so...
They were both in their 30s.
Yeah.
When they filmed this, they look very, very 40-ish to me.
They do. And I mean, I suppose this is something that is just a a thing. People looked older back then for various reasons, and maybe dressed older than 30-somethings do now.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss, Earl, because you and I, of course, are big sci-fi nerds. Gene was in the famous Twilight Zone episode, It's a Good Life, with baby Bill Mooney, who sent people out to the cornfield.
Oh, yes.
So that's pretty neat. She was only in that one episode of the Twilight Zone, but that's a big one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the... I think that's one of those that winds up in everyone's top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just from... It's one of the episodes that they know because it has almost become its own meme.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, didn't they make a reference to somebody sending somebody else out to the cornfield in Strange New Worlds this year?
No, we sent someone out to the cornfield, and it was Erica Ortega's.
No, but there was a reference to sending somebody out to the cornfield. Oh, it was in Wedding Bell Blues, and I laughed so hard when I heard it.
Everyone remembers the 80s Twilight Zone. Everyone remembers the Jordan Peele Twilight Zone that was on CBS All Access.
Mm-hmm.
In between, there's a revival of it on UPN around 2002.
Yep.
With
Chris
Grant Whitaker as the host. Yeah.
Yep. And,
a lot of people were in it.
Yeah, a lot of folks who would, have careers just a few years later.
Yeah.
This was a good jumping off point for them.
Yeah, but they also did a direct sequel to It's a Good Life called It's Still a Good Life with grown-up Bill Mooney and his daughter, who turns out to be... Yeah, he's playing the same character, but now his daughter is more powerful than she is. Or than he is.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're going to go to a cornfield on the other side of the planet.
You're going to the other cornfield. You're going to the executive cornfield.
You're going to the coach cornfield.
Oh, no.
You, business class.
The business class cornfield. Oh, and there's Mr. Zarat just chowing down. I'm sorry. Whoever played that part, I am so sorry. Look, fellow short, fat guy here, I got no room to talk. It's just, if he can get that part, maybe I should be updating my IMDb headshot to go with all my voice credits.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You could be the next Mr. Zarat. Have a lady in every port. Definitely Earl style right there.
Yeah, wow. Acting. Other than that, almost no notes. This one was good. I mean, it was actually good television. Literally, the only thing I could dock any points off was the electrified doorknob. We should got that much of a scream out of it, but I can let that slide. That's the style of the time.
Sure, yeah. Earl, do you think this is one where you could film this episode today with the script as is? And do you think it still work?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. I can relate to this from my own lived experience a bit in that for a lot of my marriage, I was not the breadwinner. I was not mad about not being the breadwinner, but there seemed to be a lot of people around me who were mad about me not being the breadwinner because that's not the way it's supposed to be.
Sure.
And it's like, look, we're both working. We're both pitching in to keep a roof over our heads.
Mm-hmm.
What's your problem?
Yep.
It's not a competition. Other people making it a competition started to make it a problem. And I really don't appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Like you said, mind your business.
Mind your business.
I believe this was the first episode of the podcast where we started talking about the masculinity script.
Yes. Yes, it was.
And just how twisted around men have gotten trying to follow this arbitrary, unspoken set of rules that are not really conducive to anything healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Those rules are still around today.
Mm-hmm.
Those weird, outmoded ways of thinking are still around today because someone is still teaching them to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a practice that needs to stop.
Police Academy. Police officer J.E. Johnson is killed by Morton Slade, psycho ex-con who escapes the police cordon by being arrested on a minor charge. Paul Garrett and police captain Mac McPherson discover the killer's ruse but have absolutely no evidence for a successful prosecution. They set up Slade's transfer to the police academy as a trustee, where they trap him into admitting his guilt. Through an error in planning, Slade gets a hold of a gun and live ammunition, holes up high in the rock garden, and is finally killed in a wild gunfight.
Yeah, I feel like the rock garden, like that is adjacent to maybe the real LAPD police academy. That seemed like a very specific location that Gene had in mind for this to take place.
Right.
And he would have been familiar with it, but it's a very nice location for a big chase and a shootout. And it's a much more elaborate location than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
A really good one for staging an action scene. There's lots of places to hunker down and take cover. They probably use it for training in that way.
Right.
I mean, there's multiple sets of stairs, and you really they have these wide shots where you get a sense of the strategy that the cadets are going up these other stairs because they're going to outflank Slade.
Mm-hmm.
My only complaint was I wish the camera work was more dynamic in those scenes.
Yeah, it was definitely a little like, okay.
Yeah,
whatevs.
Very locked off camera happening here. This wasn't the usual director. This wasn't the director they had on the other two episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, our cast, we're back to kind of a mixed bag here. The guy playing Willie is really good.
Yeah.
He looks the part. You really get the sense he is scared to death of Morton Slade from the moment you see him. The reason I bring up the fact that this was not a usual director is that at the beginning, the guy playing Slade he's too calm about everything. This guy needs to have something in his eyes that says something wrong with this guy.
Yeah.
You need the 1950s Jeffrey Combs in this part, basically. When we first see Slade, he's way too dapper. I mean, he just got out of jail and he's in a suit and a tie and a snazzy hat.
I was about to say, he looking good for just getting out of prison.
Yeah. He just does not look like someone who is, has the phrase, I am going to kill someone the first day that I'm out of prison, in the opening scene of Act 1 going through his head. It is chilling that he goes and just very calmly kills someone, and that someone is an armed policeman.
Yeah, just for funsies.
Yeah. But in this part of the show, it feels very generic. There's not much of a performance there. Now, once they get him out of his suit and tie when he's in the boiler suit with Willie, then he looks much more the part. And maybe this is some built-in classism going on in my head. But it's more than that. Like when he's breaking windows, the actor has a whole different demeanor. He's got a lot more physicality. And that counts for a lot because now he seems like, okay, this guy is dangerous. He's going to kill again. This was the first episode where I felt like David Bryan let us down a bit as Mr. Garrett, as Mr. DA.
Yeah.
There is a scene where he is listening to the police radio and there's the call, officer down. And the camera's kind of pulling out, which is a weird choice. It's like, no, you should be pushing in. You should be pushing in on his face and you should see lots of stuff going on his face because there's an officer down in the line of duty. In the script, Gene's description of this, his wording was very specific and very striking. But you see none of that on David Bryan's face. It's like he's listening to the football scores. And when he reaches the crime scene, everything seems very off because there is no urgency on anyone's part. It's like, come on, boys, one of your own has just fallen in the line of duty. You're looking for a cop killer. You're not placing an order at Quiznos. There's a lot of very odd choices here that I really home in on the director as the source of that.
Yeah, I just want to do a quick peek at the director for this particular episode. His name is Eddie Davis. Now, he would go on to direct 23 episodes of Highway Patrol. And so I'm curious now if any of them were Gene's, for one thing.
Whose cousin was he at Ziv?
Yeah, I mean, because it looks like he did a lot of TV. He did an episode of Harbor Command, 6 episodes of Dr. Christian, 4 episodes of West Point.
Oh, that's a lot of Ziv programming.
20 episodes of I Led 3 Lives. So all shows that have been covered on our show.
Yeah.
Bat Masterson, he passed in 87. Looks like the last thing he directed was in 1971. That Lady from Peking. But the last 3 things he did were films. He's majority TV director. But yeah, most of this is Ziv.
It just seemed like this one was being phoned in. He probably did better work than this, but this episode suffered from a lack of intensity.
Yeah. And you would think like an episode with this kind of subject matter would be a little more intense.
Yeah, and instead it goes in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I could not help but notice the scenes of the police car speeding through suburbia. We just saw that same shot in Wife Killer right at the beginning of the show. Exact same shot.
You got to save your pennies where you can.
Yeah, I'm sure they got like 1 day of filming with that police car, and that's how that car roars into suburban wherever, suburban Los Angeles every week. That exact same shot.
Yeah.
We salute the passenger side wind wing of McPherson's car and thank it for its service before Slade just absolutely smashes it with that broom handle. We were all about the wind wings in the early days of this podcast, the wind wings and the elevator starters. And it was like, no, not the wind wing.
I don't have a lot of thoughts on this one, Earl. This one was just, it was fine.
I have more, but it's none of it's especially good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share some highlights with the class. Yeah,
the big twist of the story is that the police cadet who shoots Slade brings him down, kills him. It's Officer Johnson Jr.
Of course.
And we do this insert shot of his name tag. And that shot is so bad because it doesn't even look like it's on someone's shirt. It just looked like it was written on a label and stuck on a piece of paper, and they filmed that. It just looks off. And also,
it didn't have its own musical cue, did it?
No, it didn't. So it's definitely not on the level of Paladin's business card. Right. But also in hindsight, and I'm going to admit this is a very 21st century way to look at this. Okay, we're going to give Johnson Jr. his dad's beat right then and there. Hello, he just shot a guy dead. Administrative leave, counseling.
Right.
Anything, Bueller?
Desk work for at least 6 weeks.
It's Gene's entire body of work is rounded by stories where someone goes from cadet to captain. Just like that.
You shoot the right guy. Apparently, that's what you got to do.
Hey, 10 points.
Jeez,
you got the bad guy. Okay, so our cast. I do want to give credit where it is due. As Captain McPherson, we had Harry Hickox. Harry was in I Led 3 Lives, The Roy Rogers Show. He was in the pilot episode of Jefferson Drum. And an episode of The Invaders. He was in quite a few other things. You probably recognize him, though, as Charlie Cowell from The Music Man.
Oh.
So that was Captain McPherson. We lost Harry in 1994. Now, as Morton Slade, the stone-cold killer with ice in his veins and a schnazzy hat on his head, we have Terry Frost. And he was a TV mainstay and a regular on the guest-starring circuit, especially during the peak TV Western years. Good news here, he went straight after Mr. District Attorney because He was a member of the Highway Patrol in 2 of Gene's episodes.
Okay.
So we have Gene's very first repeat actor here. This gentleman was also in Reformed Criminal and Mental Patient.
Nice.
Mr. Terry Frost there is still with the mustache.
Yep.
Now, Willie was played by character actor Frank Marlowe, who made a career out of playing kind of similarly downtrodden characters. Mousy men who were trying to stay out of the way of trouble on both big screen and small. Unfortunately, this role was near the end of Frank's career because he died in 1964. I feel like in the end, once you start giving Slade dangerous things to do, Terry Frost was up to the task.
Yeah.
He was never not up to the task. He needed to be directed. That was really what let this episode down. Everything points to the director's chair on this
Right. Tell me what you think. You've read the scripts. We've now seen the episodes. Do you think Gene got his point across on the screen?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and it's not the same answer for every episode.
Okay.
I cannot say, in all honesty, that the execution didn't hamper the scripts. Police Academy, I felt, was the weakest one that we watched here.
Mm-hmm.
The script itself was already a little too cute, with the killer of the officer being gunned down by the officer's son, who just happens to be a police cadet. That's awfully convenient. Now, you combine that already very convenient script with some very weird, very static choices in directing and characterization, and the end result is something that you can't really tell if Gene wrote it or not, to be quite honest. Defense plant gambling, I want to make more of it than perhaps it has earned. Because it's, that momentous first script. This is a moment in television history. Even that one suffered from some strangeness that happened somewhere between casting and directing. I felt like we needed to be able to take Zarat seriously as a credible threat. We needed to be able to take the collie seriously as a victim. They almost felt like cartoon characters the way they were cast.
I think cartoony is a good way to describe them because they were exaggerated in varying ways.
Yeah, and I realize that's probably the style of the time, but Mr. Field wasn't like that.
Oh, no, he wasn't.
And neither was Mrs. Zarat, version 75.0.
Right.
Miss Thornberry. She was not... There were a lot of ways that she could have been overplayed. I actually felt she was underplayed.
Yeah. Yeah, I wondered when she first came on the scene, she just walks in, hands some papers, and just stands there. She doesn't even say anything.
Yeah.
So, about the time we hear from her is in the big reveal.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's Gene kind of winding us up for the big reveal, like, oh, here's a woman doing the same things that a woman always does in these kind of shows. If she's not the victim, if she's not the girlfriend, she's a secretary.
Right.
But it turns out she's the big bad.
Right.
And I thought that was delightful. It's just that a lot of the choices before that scene, before that reveal, really kind of kneecap the whole thing. Out of these first 3, Wife Killer is way out ahead of the pack.
Oh, by a mile and then some.
I am not saying it's perfect, but the guest stars sell it like crazy.
Right.
David Bryan gives us a Paul Garrett where you can kind of see the wheels turning in his head, like he's figuring out what's going on.
Well, and a couple of things that I failed to mention in our discussion, but he makes a point of saying to Olga, people go see a heart doctor if they have heart problems. Why not go see a psychologist if you are having mental or emotional health issues? Like, that's a really progressive statement for that time. That's almost a progressive statement now.
Yeah.
Because so many people are still opposed to mental health services being readily available for whoever requires them, which is, fun fact, everybody on the planet. And so there's that. And you want to talk progressive? The other thing I noticed, and this is just a very, very silly thing, Paul Garrett's secretary, her dress has pockets.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Oh, I don't wear dresses that often, but they gotta have some pockets. I'm very pro pockets on everything. More pockets, please.
Okay, well, now I'm going to go back and watch it again just for that. Because
it's such like a tiny thing, and I didn't notice it the first couple of times I watched the episode, but I was like, oh, the secretary has pockets in her dress. This is stuff that we have to fight for today in women's fashion, like to have even like real pockets in a pair of jeans.
Yeah, even now, those pockets are from the future.
Yeah. So I asked you earlier, could you film the script as is, and would it still work today? Yeah, pretty much. Even down to the secretary's got pockets.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that wasn't in the script, so hooray costuming department.
Yes. Props to the costuming department, or costumes to the costuming department. We'll save the props for the prop department.
We should go back and look at the credits to see if the costumer was a woman.
Hey.
Because she, too, is from the future, just like her pockets.
I wouldn't be surprised. Anyway, sorry, that's just like some silly thing I noticed, but yeah, of the three, this is far and away the best.
Yeah, and also, we are questioning Olga, but we're also listening to her. Yes, hello. That's way ahead of that Jefferson Drum episode that we covered.
Right.
And this is like script number 2 for Gene.
Right.
So, yes, more of that, please. For so many reasons, Wife Killer was at the front of the line in this one. It really is. It's the best script, also the best execution. It was already kind of my favorite Mr. District Attorney script going in. I think that was the one that stuck in our heads most. I was glad to see it executed well. And I mean, not just 1954 well, it's just like, it's a good little chunk of TV. I would go back and watch that one again.
Yeah.
What about yourself? What were your thoughts? How did you, if you ranked these, how did you rank them?
Oh, easily Wife Killer's at the top. After that, Defense Plant Gambling, I thought was interesting, especially with the twist at the end. Police Academy, still kind of meh for me, but there's little stuff in, like I already mentioned, in Wife Killer that is, well, yeah, these are very like boilerplate kind of shows. That one had just like little hints, like about, hey, maybe you should go see with somebody about your mental and emotional health. Like, that's a very progressive Gene Roddenberry kind of thing to put into a script. I didn't expect that, but I think also it highlights an issue that women face on the regular of being gaslit. I mean,
now
the percentage, now, like, in the percentage of women who are, if they are in an abusive situation, it's with a partner or a husband. And it's, this is clearly one of those things. And it's also like a critique of, I mean, I could read it as a critique of, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Like, this guy is out to do in his wife because he can't stand the fact that she has to co-sign every check he writes.
So do you think that you were able to spot signs of the writer that Gene was going to become, or the kind of material that he would become known for here?
Yeah, I think so. At least with that episode, there's definitely some faint glimmers, for sure. Like, we're getting like if we're panning for gold, we're getting a few little flecks here and there.
Yeah, I feel like he's poking holes in toxic masculinity with Wife Killer. I feel like Defense Plant Gambling is doing something really subversive with the class structure.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was really implicit in Gene's script. I honestly don't remember. Or if this was something that the costume director and the director of the episode took upon themselves as like, oh, we're going to I think we spot this in the script. We are going to heighten it visually.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do think Defense Plant Gambling there is some very curious casting in that one.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that. The exaggeration of the characters lifts it out of a naturalistic space and prevents it from being taken seriously. For the most part, it really feels like Gene was just trying to get his foothold in the world of writing for television. And yeah, I was about to say make a midlife career change happen. Now, this is like the second or third big career change for a guy who was in his early 30s.
He had a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, decorated military officer to civilian airline pilot of quite some note.
Mm-hmm.
Policeman, and now he's going to be a TV writer, and he's in his early 30s. Now, I'm in my early 50s. What the hell have I done?
Back then, I feel like people were maybe, or at least white men, were given more opportunities to take big swings. I don't know. I think about how the guy who was the special effects producer on the film The Thing, which amazing, incredible work. That guy was like 21.
Yeah.
When he did that. I don't know anybody, or at least when I was 21, who was getting to do anything remotely like big deal like that.
Yeah.
Experience or no.
It feels like now the big swings are reserved for white guys in a certain income bracket.
Mm-hmm. People with connections of some sort. You're not taking risks on no-name individuals.
Yeah.
Unless they have a really big social media following for some reason or another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But luckily for Gene, and for all of us really, the medium of television was going into a period of explosive growth here. I mean, we are here at the doorstep of what they call the golden age of TV.
Right.
He was in the process of showing he could deliver the goods while moonlighting as a cop, which is crazy if you think about it. Yeah. The only thing left was to go full-time with it.
Special thanks again to our friends at the Wisconsin Center for Film and Theater Research at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, without whom this show simply could not have been possible. Gene-ology is meant to be entertaining and informative, but it's also just the beginning of an ongoing conversation about the works of Gene Roddenberry. Drop us a line at missionlog@roddenberry.com and join us on Facebook at missionlogpod. And remember, your comments could be used on future installments of Gene-ology. If you have any material that might be of interest to us that isn't already in the Roddenberry archive, drop us a line at missionlog@roddenberry.com. Our website is missionlogpodcast.com, and Missionlog Gene-ology is produced by Roddenberry Entertainment.
On the next Gene-ology, 3 more cases with Mr. District Attorney. Special thanks to consulting producers Matt Esposito, Homer Frizzell, Rand Hurl, Tom Kozak, Julie Miller, Mike Richards, Mike Schabel, Paul Shadwell, and David Takechi.
Back next week with more of your favorite programs. This concludes our broadcast day.
This is a Roddenberry podcast. For more great podcasts, visit podcast.roddenberry.com.